Hello, I'm Esther Githu-Ewart. Welcome to Africa 54. Here's what's coming up. Voters in the Democratic Republic of Congo went to the polls in a general election on Wednesday after a chaotic campaign and logistical setbacks that could prevent many from voting. Israel-Hamas war enters a more intensive phase with ground combat previously confined to the northern half of the Gaza Strip now spreading across the length of the coastal enclave. And in our tech report, AI's use in political campaigns raises red flags for the 2024 global elections, but political experts say this could be a game changer. All this and much more coming up on today's Africa 54. Voting is underway in the Democratic Republic of Congo Wednesday in a high-stakes general election pitting incumbent President Felix Tshisekedi against multiple opposition candidates. VOA's Paul Ndiho has more.
Voters in the Democratic Republic of Congo headed to the polls to elect a president in an election facing steep logistical and security challenges. Around 44 million Congolese are registered to vote in a nation of more than 100 million people. In addition to electing a president, voters are deciding on lawmakers in the national and provincial assemblies and local councillors. Many polling booths in the capital Kinshasa and the cities of Goma, Bukavu, Beni and Lumumbashi were facing delays. Several million people displaced by conflict in the country's vast east region are also struggling to cast their ballots. Felix Tshisekedi, 60, is facing 18 challenges. He took office in 2019 and running for a second 5-year term and is considered the frontrunner in the single-round presidential vote. Congo is one of the poorest countries in the world, despite boasting rich mineral reserves. It is Africa's top copper producer and the world's largest producer of cobalt, a key component in batteries used in electronics and electronic vehicles. But little wealth trickles down in a country the size of continental Europe. Holding elections poses a daunting logistical challenge due to the country's size and lack of infrastructure. The United Nations Security Council has unanimously adopted a resolution to renew its mandate of the UN Organization Stabilization Mission in the Democratic Republic of the Congo for 1 year until December 2024. Paul Ndiho, VOA News, Washington.
For more on Congo's general elections, I'm joined live from Kinshasa by VOA's Shakur Aboud. Shakur, tell us about today's voting activities.
Thank you very much, Esther. It has started raining heavily here, and people are still voting. Today was a chaotic day, as we all reported. Many polling stations opened late. Some opened 2 hours late, but some also opened at around 1 o'clock. That was almost half a day gone. But in general, it has been peaceful. And one thing which is to be said is that the Congolese are very patient. And when I talk to them, what do they think about this? They said, we are in Africa, we are in Congo, we always take our things with a stride. And 2 hours late is quite a normal thing.
Shakur, a lot of Congolese had expressed concerns about security during voting. Any incidents to report so far?
No, right now we don't have any real report of any incident that has taken place anywhere around here in Kinshasa or even in the eastern part of Kinshasa. Our reporters in Bukavu and Goma have not reported anything particularly important or significant about insecurity.
You've been there for almost a week now, Shakur. What are Congolese telling you are the expectations of the incoming president?
The Congolese say they want peace, somebody who will bring peace to the whole country. They want development. They want somebody who will look for the Congolese people. They want to see that the minerals, the riches of this country go to the development and well-being of the Congolese people. That's what is going all over. Nobody wants anything else. They want change. They want the change. Even with Tshisekedi, they want to see that he fights corruption. He brings real change. So in a real factor that they want change of life. They want a better life and see that the money they get from their country works for the people.
And when do we expect the presidential results to be announced?
That is a issue which we are not aware of. We don't know what's going to happen. Normally, they have until the 30th of December. So they can take their time, as we have said it, and we are not sure what's going to happen with that.
And it's not only the presidential results, they're also doing municipal council elections and mayoral elections as well. Do those also get announced the same time with the presidential results, or they come in later?
I think so. They come in later. They will prioritize the presidential elections because in the parliament election, remember, there are 20,000 candidates for 500 seats. So that might take a big challenge, and that's what is going to happen.
I see you're surrounded by a lot of Congolese there. What do they say about the ongoing conflict there generally, and what do they expect to see happen in the next, couple of days once we know who the winner is?
They are expecting, as the ones I said, they want peace in the country, they want development, and they are tired of seeing that their country has been used by foreigners to gain the money, and they're gaining nothing out from it.
Abdishakur Aboud, thank you very much for your reporting. We hope that everything goes well there. VOA's Abdishakur Aboud reporting live for us from Kinshasa. Now, at the Congo Embassy here in Washington, Congolese nationals are also exercising their voting rights. For more on that, I'm joined by VOA reporter Jine Newa. Jine, tell us what you have observed today at the embassy.
Well, voters are coming slowly but surely. The voting has been happening at the basement of the embassy. Right now, there is about 20 people, including the delegation. So it's about 40 degrees, so they made a waiting area so people can sit down. It's a first-come, first-served basis. The voters are welcomed by the delegation. They show their card. They pass the observer. Then they will go to the president, who will explain to them how to vote. Here, for the diaspora, it's only for the presidential. And after that, they go to the voting machine. The voting machine will show them the picture. Once they confirm, the picture will be shown in the back of their bulletin. After that, they will put the ballot in the box, which is a see-through box in the middle of the room. And once they finish with that, they will go to a station where the card will be returned and they will be marked with a permanent ink on the finger.
And what are they telling you they want to see happen in their home country, back home?
So overall, when I speak to voters, they are voting for Tshisekedi. And for them, they believe that another mandate will change everything. To them, he has changed a lot. And another 4 years is, what he needs to continue, the change.
We know that they've been very influential in, remittances, helping their own family members and sending dollars from here. What else what else are they concerned about when they look at the place where Congo is, especially in terms of conflict in the country?
Of course, security is a big issue for a lot of them. I speak to somebody from the diaspora who say that all he's waiting for is more security so he can go back to his country and help the country. They want to participate.
Thank you very much, Ginny, for your reporting. Ginny Niwa, live for us at the DRC Embassy here in Washington, D.C. Congo voters in Goma expressed their frustration over voting delays. Reporter Zanem Neti Zaid spoke to some of them.
We have been told we are going to vote since 6:30 a.m. And since 6:30 a.m. we have been here. And now it's almost 11 a.m. and there is no sign that we are going to vote. I wonder if we are going to vote or not. And if they want us to be able to pay as we did on the day we looked for the voters' cards, Let them say so clearly so that we know how to behave in the face of this situation.
I came to cast my vote to see change in Congo, especially a change in mentality, where we are told the elections were not going to happen, but we are surprised to see the enthusiasm at voting centers. We want to impose change by voting for whoever we want. In some polling stations, the elections are going on well, while in other areas there is chaos. Some people want to choose the candidate of their choice, while others are opposed, and that's what creates disorder. We need to step up security.
I think it went well, but it's very slow. The center managers are delaying the process. In front of the machine, I saw the list of all the presidential candidates and I made my choice. The one I had for a long time. I made my choice for national, provincial, and then municipal.
The procedure is well done. At the entrance, you are given a seat. You go to the first chairman, then you are asked to take the ballot paper, and then you go to the machine. You choose the candidate of your choice. The machine takes out the ballot paper, which you drop into the ballot box.
Voters in Congo's eastern city of Goma speaking to VOA. Now to South Africa. Former South African President Jacob Zuma is denouncing the governing African National Congress Party, and he's announced that he will vote for a newly formed political formation in South Africa's general election next year. Zuma, who was president of the ANC from 2007 to 2017, says he's backing the newly formed Umkhonto weSizwe Party that is named after the ANC's now defunct military wing. For more on the latest political controversy in South Africa, Marisa Lorenzo, a South African political analyst, joins me from Johannesburg. Marisa, what seems to have driven Zuma to turn his back on the ANC, a party that propelled him to South Africa's presidency?
So I think one very important thing to take into account is, although the ANC presents itself as a very unified front, there are factions that exist within the party and that have existed for some time. And actually, one of the earliest points in South Africa's post-apartheid history that we see one of these factions actually comes in 2008, when there's a breakaway from the ANC and the Congress of the People is formed. We've also seen another former president, Thabo Mbeki, who was in charge of South Africa before Jacob Zuma, also come out in the past 2 years recently and criticize some of the ruling party's activities and stances on things. So even though this is perhaps something new from Jacob Zuma himself, it's not necessarily new for the ANC.
So also, what impact would now his decision have on ANC party when it comes to next year's general election?
I don't think that Zuma has a very big hold within the ruling party still, but what is quite concerning is that we saw 2 years ago, in 2021, in July specifically, when Zuma was arrested on charges relating to corruption and was put in jail, we saw a very big outburst of violence, which took hold across 2 of South Africa's 9 provinces, KwaZulu-Natal and Gauteng. And that violence lasted for several days and saw widespread looting and protests. And there's the concern that it will not necessarily have an impact on the ANC itself, but we might be looking at that type of social unrest again, which in 2021 was quite unprecedented for post-apartheid South Africa, but now is something that we might have to guard against. The popular support for Zuma is still there. There's high levels of inequality in South Africa, and when you put 2 things together, you put high levels of dissatisfaction with the ruling party, high unemployment, low economic growth, tensions between these factions and its supporters. That really could be a recipe for more unrest. And I think that's something that here in South Africa we will have to watch quite closely in the coming months.
And Marisa, what do you make of his allegation that President Cyril Ramaphosa and the ANC party are, quote, a proxy for white monopoly capital?
So I think first we have to try to understand what Zuma means when he uses the phrase white monopoly capital. He's referring to the sense that even though South Africa got political freedom in 1994 and becoming a democracy, a lot of the country's economic interest was still kept in the hands of white South Africans, because political freedom doesn't necessarily equate to economic freedom. Unfortunately, the way that Zuma and other political parties like the Economic Freedom Fighters use this phrase is really to use ideology as a way to get political support. And this, unfortunately, South Africa is still a very racialized society. Things are very much understood on racialized terms. So this is one way, using this phrase is one way for Zuma to really appeal to try to get much more popular support for his cause and really try to resonate with voters and try to get a lot more people on his side.
Marisa, very quickly, what do you know about this Umkhonto weSizwe party?
Well, unfortunately, there's not very much information available, and I don't really expect that we're going to get more. I think that, again, Zuma is going to really draw on what Umkhonto weSizwe meant in the past, being the ANC's military ring. He's going to focus a lot on the role that he played in it. But at the moment, there's not much that's available. We don't know its political aims. There's no manifesto or anything like that. It's very new. We're quite close to the elections. I think that this is really a way to try to punish the ANC rather than looking towards actually creating a proper new political party or supporting one.
Marisa, many thanks. Marisa Lorenzo is a South African political analyst. Now to the Middle East. Israeli Foreign Minister Eli Cohen says Israel wants to fast-track the delivery of humanitarian aid to Gaza through a maritime corridor from Cyprus to help bolster stability in the region. Cohen told the media Wednesday after a visit to a center of operations in the coastal town of Larnaca that the well-supervised aid to Gaza will help the region to gain more stability. Cohen says technical teams will spend Wednesday and Thursday hammering out the details to start the aid shipments as soon as possible. Cyprus pitched the idea of such an aid corridor shortly after the start of the war in Gaza. Meanwhile, plumes of black smoke rose over Gaza's Khan Yunis as fighting between Israel and Hamas continued on Wednesday. Since the last truce collapsed at the start of December, the war has entered a more intensive phase, with ground combat operations previously confined to the northern half of the Gaza now spread across the entire length of the coastal enclave. Israel has sworn to defeat Hamas, which rules Gaza, since its fighters killed 1,200 people and captured 240 hostages in the October 7th attacks. Gaza health officials controlled by Hamas say nearly 20,000 people have been killed in Israeli strikes, with thousands more believed to be buried under the rubble. Hamas top leader is in Egypt for talks on the war in Gaza. Ismail Haniyeh's visit to Cairo Wednesday is part of diplomacy aimed at securing another ceasefire and hostage swap. The militant group is currently putting up stiff resistance to Israel's ground offensive. Haniyeh's visit to Egypt comes a day after Hamas fired rockets that set off air raid sirens in central Israel. Israel is calling on an international blacklist to name Hamas as a terrorist organization, saying it must be eradicated in the wake of its October 7th rampage across southern Israel that triggered the war. Still to come, how artificial intelligence used in political campaigns raises red flags. Stay with us.
Straight Talk Africa. Sudan erupted into chaos after fighting exploded in April between General Abdel Fattah Burhan and General Mohammed Hamdan Dagalo in the capital Khartoum and across the country. Join me, Hayley Adams, and my guests as we revisit the war in Sudan on the next Straight Talk Africa.
In other news, Ethiopia and Egypt say the latest round of talks in Addis Ababa Tuesday over a highly contentious hydroelectric dam Ethiopia has built on the Nile River's main tributary ended without an agreement. Egypt says the talks were unsuccessful due to Ethiopia's persistent refusal to accept any compromise. Ethiopia accuses Egypt of putting up roadblocks that prevented any consensus. At least 100 elephants have died in Zimbabwe's largest national park in recent weeks because of drought. Their carcasses, a horrific sign of what wildlife authorities and conservation groups say is the impact of climate change and the El Niño weather phenomenon. Officials say more elephants could die as forecasts suggest a scarcity of rains and rising heat in parts of the country. And the United Nations says the recent escalation of hostilities between the Sudan's armed forces and the paramilitary, the Rapid Support Forces in the central state of Jazeera, is causing hundreds of thousands to flee and forcing humanitarian agencies to suspend aid. The paramilitary claims to have seized the capital of Jazeera, Wad Medani. Artificial intelligence use in political campaigns is raising red flags for 2024 global elections. However, political experts say this could be a game changer. To learn more, VOA's Paul Ndiho spoke with Zef Shamba, chairman of the International Political Campaigns Expo 2024, based in Cape Town, South Africa.
Welcome to the Voice of America, and happy to host you on Africa 54.
Thank you so much.
There's a lot of talk about AI-generated content, AI in political campaigns across Africa. Let's start there. Give me your thoughts on what you think about the conversation surrounding AI, especially on the content.
There is not much body of knowledge around AI right now and its application and uses. I think as Africa, we don't want to be left out, because at the end of the day, it's something that is coming. It's a wave that's coming. We can't avoid it. And the onus is on us to be engaged and involved in this discussion as it starts. And that way, we then be able to shape the narrative as well.
How would you alleviate fears, or especially for people who say that, for example, AI has some good things to it, but it also poses a lot of risks, a lot of challenges. So people are afraid even to talk about it. It's a subject that is very that will generate a lot of debate when you talk about AI.
The major issue that people are worried about concerning AI is its impact on how things are going to turn out going forward. So a case in point is how it's going to replace humans in certain things, and also in terms of taking jobs away from humans. And when you start talking about that, people become so emotional. So I think that's one of the major areas that people are worried about. Then obviously some of the areas to say, am I really talking to a person or I'm talking to a machine? You know, there's that emotional aspect is also cut off, and people don't feel comfortable when it comes to that. What information is being taken about me by something that I don't know how it's going to use that information. Again, it's something that people are imagining, and they don't know the extent to which AI can be able to disrupt their way of living.
You have a major conference coming up soon, talking about AI, how people can use AI, especially in political campaigns, people educating themselves about the potential of AI.
We are looking at having a headship discussion where the political leaders, political parties, election management bodies, and a number of business executives are able to really discuss these issues, so that at least they can be able to then set the tone at the top for people to follow properly. So there are 4 pillars around AI that we are going to discuss extensively over a 2-day period. The first pillar being AI and its role in political campaigns. Gone are the days where a leader is limited by time in terms of reaching out to his voters, or at least reaching out to citizens. And what we have seen with AI, it has got the ability of speeding up processes. Then the second pillar is to do with AI and big data. So big data is only potent when you know how to use it. So it's good to have theoretical presentations done, and a lot of things that can be done during a campaign, which are so exciting. But if you're not able to sift through all that you are not able to basically employ whatever things that you think you can be able to employ given the time period that you have to do that. When it comes to communication during a political campaigns, messaging, AI is going to take a lead role, and it will help creatives to save time and then put most of their time in doing what they are supposed to be doing, which is creative. And these are political bodies, these are political leaders, election management bodies, companies that are coming down. We have a panel that is going to have about 7 heads of states within Africa, and we would want to make sure that we make the noise at the highest level so that at least Africa as a continent can start speaking about it and start contributing to AI.
To those people who are naysayers, can AI be used for good?
AI definitely can be used for good, and there are many good use cases around AI. But let me come to those who are afraid. There is a lot of work that is coming in there. Big tech is supporting a lot of startups, as well as the governments across the world are also employing private for them to understand what this animal really is. And that should give us comfort to say there are people who are worried like we are, but they're doing something about it.
On that note, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you very much, Paul.
That was Zef Shamba, chairman of the International Political Campaigns Expo 2024, speaking to VOA's Paul Ndiho. And that's our show for today. Be sure to watch Africa 54 on our website at voaafrica.com. From all of us here in Washington, thank you for watching.
You're watching VOA's Red Carpet. My name is Jackson Vunganyi. Thank you so much for joining us each week right here on Red Carpet. We bring you the latest in